It's Matt. We're back with another MPTV. This time we've got somebody that I've known the family for a long time. We've known each other as adults. I knew your sister in high school a little bit. We've got BJ David from MELLAS Services.
Howdy, how are you?
Living the dream, brother.
Great.
So I'll never forget. I guess before I tell this story, tell us about you, about your background, and about the business that you have right now.
I was born in the restaurant business. I think that's kind of how we go back and know each other. Joined the family business after college, even though I had a little experience through high school and in college. Joined the family business after college. Kind of saw the writing on the wall for myself and what it meant in my life. And I hung up my apron, if you will, at the end of 2008.
I was going to say it had to be around 08 or 09.
Yeah, and that was it. I started Mella January of the next year, somewhat by accident, and rest is history.
Yeah, the first time I saw you doing it, I was at Brennan Scanlon's office. And the reason I remember was like, 09-ish, because I had my consulting, this company, and we were consulting for Brennan's companies for B&I, Scanlon Associates, and he had Referral Institute. And we're in his office, and I look, I go, that dude looks just like BJ. And he looks and he goes, who's BJ?
Did he know what I did before that?
Well, no, you were cleaning the window.
Yeah, but I mean, did he know why you recognized me?
No, I don't think he did.
That's interesting.
And so I thought it was funny because he's like, well, that is BJ. And I'm like, oh, kidding me. And that's when I heard about your new venture. And it's been wild to see because, you and I have been on the same path from a standpoint of building the business, but you've built up a very successful business. Like the services are great. I don't say that just because you're here, but because we use you.
Thank you.
Like the nature blames dead birds on you guys about once every couple months because you guys clean the windows. We need to get them clean here at the office again.
Yes, you do.
And I found out, sidebar, how hard it is to clean a window. So you guys cleaned our windows before we did our grand opening. Mm-hmm. And I forgot that there were these little skylight windows on the outside. Okay. And I said, hey, don't worry about the bottom. There's no windows down there. Well, there's these two skylights. Well, they happen to be right next to the dirt, which when it rains apparently blocks mud up. Like, this can't be that hard. I'll get those two myself. I get a squeegee. I get some spray. Oh, my gosh. 10 people. The first day we're down there doing an event, they're like, what happened there? And I'm like, that was me. Sorry, I don't know how to clean windows.
Just takes a little magic, that's all.
But you guys have cleaned. I mean, you do a lot of things. You do carpet cleaning. You do windows. You clean our house because we live on a lake. And I remember sitting in the backyard when they looking up, and I'm like, man, what is all this stuff on the house?
Yeah, a lot of our window cleaning customers, when they see us climb on a ladder to a window, then all of a sudden they realize, oh, maybe they could clean this, maybe they could clean that. And so we'll do the siding on people's homes when it gets real nasty, because not usually, but a number of times one side of a house doesn't get enough sun, so it gets real nasty. And so, this week we're going to somebody's house and taking the shutters off their house. They want to paint them, but they don't want to climb up to get them. Yeah. And we were right next to the shutters cleaning the window, so they asked us to come back out and take the shutters down.
Oh,
why not?
And how good a service you have and how good a product is, to me, a lot of times is reflected off of referrals and things like that nature. But my wife, when we were 2 months ago talking about getting things ready, because we have a pool outside and we're outside a lot, and she's like, by the way, because we have I guess you call it a sunroom. I don't know. It's not enclosed, but screened-in room. Yeah. And she's like, hey, by the way, go ahead and give me the info from Mella, because I know you'll drag your ass, and I want that. They cleaned the inside of the back porch last year, and it's unbelievable. Yeah, I want them to come back.
Cool. We appreciate. Yeah, we frequently do those house washes. Sometimes on something really nasty, or just to freshen up, because you just don't realize how much dust and just general little itty bits of debris add up. We do it all the time.
So, what made you go from the restaurant business to what was the window clean? How did you see that? Why did you pick that?
Well, my dad and I used to love to tell stories about, the only way I describe it is stupid ideas that worked for people.
Okay.
We love to tell stories about the guy who was down on his luck and thought of a silly idea and became a millionaire doing it.
The hair Floby.
Sure. Just silly ideas that people wanted, and they worked. We had made fun of, I say that with quotes, we had made fun of the window cleaners and the carpet cleaners who we used in the restaurants, because we would look at the work that they were doing, the amount of time they were spending, what we were paying them, and just think, man, what a simple, not an easy, but what a simple process, what a simple business. And as I was leaving the restaurant business, to be frank, I made a resume. I thought it looked pretty good. I had professionals, review it for me and help clean it up. I put it out and nobody called. And when I say nobody,
wow,
nobody.
That's surprising.
I didn't. Now I'm not saying I was all that, but didn't even get a call. And I was applying for sales positions, and I was not asking to be anything real important. But I didn't get a call. So after a little bit of that, I said, well, I've got 2 young kids, wife at home. I want to work. And so I borrowed a ladder from a buddy. I bought a couple $100 worth of squeegees and buckets and such, and basically started knocking on doors.
Dumb question. Do you think they were, do you think they were intimidated by your name? Because your name's pretty well known in Northern Kentucky, Cincinnati, as a very astute entrepreneur family with Gold Star Chili and other things.
I don't know. It was kind of late 08. So, the economy at the time wasn't the best, but I still thought there's always room to hire salespeople, and how could I not be a catch?
Oh yeah.
For the income range that I was shooting for or thinking I would land in, but I didn't get a call. Thought I was well networked at the time. Since starting Mella and joining BNI and having to go out and kill it and drag it home.
Yep.
I'm so much better networked today than I was then, but I never got a call.
Wow. And that's cool to see. It's cool to see how you pivoted and went that route and said, hey, what the hell? Give me a ladder, find a need, because you're right. I look around here. When I bought this building, there were so many things I didn't think about.
Sure.
And there's things that are reflective of what you do, and you can't have an orange Lamborghini parked out front and dirty windows. You just
see how much you grow over that time, just with experience. I basically said, I know I can provide better service than the majority of these 1- and 2-man shows doing window cleaning, doing carpet cleaning. If I could get a few crews out on the road and provide the service that I was raised to provide through the restaurant business, maybe I can do something.
So talk about that service part of it, because you grew up in the restaurant business, and I always talk to restaurants because that's what we deal with.
Right,
is that,
right. By the way, I'd never go back to.
I always say, if your food doesn't suck, your service doesn't suck, and your atmosphere doesn't suck, why wouldn't they come back? And I've grown up around Gold Star and Dixie Chili and Skyline, and so I eat them all. I'm like an anomaly. But from your business, from your customer service aspect, what did you take with you that you saw lacking when you got into the window cleaning business?
I knew that the guy out there working by himself just didn't have the experience that I had.
Kind of big picture professionalism.
Yeah, they didn't have, and to their credit, they didn't have any overhead, right?
Yeah.
But they also didn't have a logo. They didn't have a brand. They didn't have anything to recognize them by. They had a cell phone, and if I've heard one time, boy, you seem expensive. My old guy used to do it for this. We ask, why didn't you call him? Well,
they're out of business.
His cell phone doesn't work anymore. And so, that kind of takes care of itself, right? I was raised by a family that was old school, yet embracing the franchise concept and embracing technology. So where my grandfather and my father would open the restaurant 3 hours early to serve 1 3-way, which didn't make any sense on the financial sheet, right? 3 hours, you heated everything up and sat there to make 1 3-way. That's the way they did it old school. But I was also learning and training with Gold Star Inc. and getting that experience from new school. And so I kind of brought both of them to the table.
What I love you mentioned there is the brand aspect of it, because you've done a hell of a job with it. I talk to people all the time when they'll ask. We had a neighbor who saw you guys doing our house and said, hey, I've heard of Mella a lot. Are they solid? Because we have our little homeowners page. And I'm like, yeah, they do a great job. And I posted some pictures, and everybody knows the name. And you've done a great job with that. And you're right. there's so many of these services. Like I've got companies that cut my house grass and my office grass. I don't know the name of their business. It's just a friend of a friend of a friend. And more than likely in 2 years, they'll be somewhere else. And there won't be somebody that survives that account and it's, finding somebody new.
I appreciate that. I guess it is a compliment. I get asked somewhat frequently if we're a franchise, if I bought, especially in the early days, did I buy a franchise? I said no. I said Mella is just my kids' name.
That's what I was.
Mac and Ella. At the time, I guess my kids were 5 and 3, and my 3-year-old said, "Dad, you put Ella's whole name in there." All I could come up with was, "Bud, you got the capital M.
Yep.
You got the big letter."
Yeah, the big one.
He bought it at the time, at least. So.
I was going to ask what I remember. There was a tie-in with the kids' names. I didn't know what it was.
Well, I think I did my first window cleaning at a house, and I had made a sign. I stuck a sign in the yard. Went home to wait by the phone. I was like, "Oh my God, I got to have a name," and it rhymed with Pella, the window company.
Yeah.
So
Mella.
it stuck.
There we go.
That was it.
And so talk about the networking aspect of it, because like you said early on, you thought you were tied. Kin. I mean, I've known you because, I guess my dad had a lot of the Gold Stars insured, and I grew up around Gold Star Chili and knew your dad and you and your sister. I knew you in high school. I knew your sister.
Right.
But met you I got into the real world and knew who you were. Talk about what you found out in that process and how you've used networking, because honestly, there's a lot of people that don't know about referral marketing or networking or BNI, and it's the backbone of my company.
Yeah. To have people thinking of you on a regular basis as a referral partner can't be overstated. So I was newly into my business, and a friend of my mother's, Jackie Shriver, told her, "Our group is looking for a window cleaner." And my mom said, "Hey, my friend wants you to come see her business group." And of course, I thought, like many, "Oh, I don't want to waste my time with this. It's probably just a coffee session," and so on and so forth. But her meeting was on Tuesday. I didn't have a job lined up for Tuesday. Sounded like a good idea to me. So I said, I should at least go check this out. First meeting was canceled by snow. I was sitting at the meeting waiting. The snowstorm was overnight, so nobody missed the opportunity to tell me. I was eager.
Yeah.
So I showed up the next week, canceled again. I still showed up on the third week, though, and I saw a meeting that to this day still blew my mind. They had, I think, $52,000 in thank you for closed business that day. 55 referrals had been shared. And I was literally sitting in my chair kind of side-eyeing the room thinking, did these people really share this much business over the course of the past week? I realize there's probably some gray area in there and type, but if I could land a job a month, the cost of BNI at the time is a home run.
Yep.
Let alone if I could get 2 jobs a month, it would be a home run. And it was. And I appreciated and learned how to network.
And so you mentioned BNI and closed business. And there's some of these terms, and I find that I only know about it because I grew up with Brennan Scanlon and his dad, and I got introduced to it at a young age in my business career. And I've been amazed the number of small businesses that don't know what it is, but like thank you for closed business means if you're out there on internet land or listening on Spotify or somewhere, that somebody in that room is thanking somebody in the room like, hey, thank you for referring BJ to me.
And this was how much it was worth.
Yeah.
$300, $10, $1,000. My little business, cleaning windows at $11 a window, cleaning carpet at $40, $50 a room. We have grown our services. We do sell and install flooring. Yep. We're doing interior painting now as well.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah, the flooring has led to painting. But so those tickets are bigger. But BNI is directly and indirectly responsible for, I think last year, directly responsible for close to $500,000, $600,000 worth of our volume for the year. It's a lot of windows. It's a lot of carpet.
And up until 2015, because we went national, 2015 to 18, we went from being a local service marketing company to exclusively restaurants. But I remember sitting down with Brennan Scanlon, It was like 2015, 16. I had a spreadsheet. I still have it. I call it 2010 goals because I created the business 2008. I'm like, oh, what the hell? I'll figure it out. And then 2009 ran. And I'm like, well, I ought to set some goals for next year. And so I have a Google sheet to this day that is still called 2010 goals and has a tab for every year. But in there, I kept this thing I called the wave. I wanted to know where everybody came from. And so if I go back to like 2011 right now, it'll have one in there. It'll say Brennan, Steve Kane, Doug Smith. These are all the touch points. And it'll walk through where it came from. And I got the idea because I was at an event where Ivan Meisner was speaking. Is he still on BNI or is he still involved in it? Okay. So I was at an event where Ivan was speaking. Me and Brennan and Jeff and my dad were out in San Francisco for this event. And Ivan talked about, he called it the wave. He's like, I'm going to tell you what it is. And he said, I was reflecting on how I recently was speaking on the Virgin Islands or Richard Branson's island. And this, I don't even know when this was. This was probably 2013, 14, 15, around there. He's like, I was reflecting on, I was speaking. I'm sitting there, and Richard Branson, Sir Richard Branson, walks by me and says, Ivan, you got to go outside and enjoy the beach, man. What are you doing? He's like, I'm getting ready for my speech tomorrow. He's like, you got to go outside. And he walks by, and I go, how in the hell am I sitting here with Sir Richard Branson? And he said, I started to think about it. And I looked, I literally wrote out, because I wanted to figure out how I got here, because I didn't know him a year ago. And he said, I started connecting the pieces. And it started with, he was in New York, spoke at an event, and somebody from the crowd heard him speak. And the next week called and said, hey, we've got a women's event coming up. We'd love you to be a speaker at. And they had called in and like left some messages. Well, he happened to answer the phone one day. Just cool week. He was there before anybody else. Answered the phone. This lady's like, hey, we've left some message. We want you to come do this event. And he's like, what the hell, I'll do it. So he goes and does it. Well, he meets a lady there. And so he said he's in California. They end up meeting up because he could tell that she had some, good business acumen. There was something else to her. And I guess the whole time he's asking her these questions, trying to figure out who she was. And I believe the name was Bacardi, whatever it was. She's like, my family's Bacardi or what. It was something big like that. And he's like, oh, shit. And so he became friends with her. Well, one of her friends was Richard Branson. And she's like, hey, I want you to go down and watch this rocket or plane he's launching. This is a while back. I don't know if it was a rocket for space, whatever he's doing. I want to go watch this thing he's doing. Went down, met him, and then eventually became friends with him and got to go speak at his event. But he was talking about that, and I started keeping that because he's like, you need to know where these connections come from so you can do it again. That if I didn't reflect on that, he called it, I think at the time, the BNI wave, which I thought was funny because back then I think Google had created some kind of social media platform at one point called the Wave. Oh. But he had talked about it and said that the reason he was telling the speech is that you need to know where your business is coming from so that you can keep going back there. And you can also reward that person and also give them referrals. He's like, because this lady knows Richard Branson, I'm going to guess she probably knows other people I need to know.
Other celebrities.
And when he said that, I came back, and me and Brennan, I remember sitting in our hotel because me and Brennan were in a room, and my dad and Jeff were in a room, and I was going through my group, it was an Excel sheet back then, and I was like, okay, how do I know this client? Boom, boom, boom. I got to a point where there was 1 year where 80% of my business for my agency was directly related to Brennan or BNI. And we were doing, at that time, it was just me and one employee, $600,000-$700,000 in business. And I was like, wow, this is pretty important stuff, knowing people.
That's
and then reciprocating because it was two-way because I was helping Brennan as well.
Oh, that's huge. Yeah, I think I probably paid a little more attention to that in earlier years, but the number of transactions we do, it's kind of hard to know who's always coming in the door. Yep. It'd be interesting to sit back and look at some of our bigger customers or some of our longtime customers and kind of unravel that, see where it goes.
And we did it at Plaps a little differently. It was kind of old school marketing. We had our boat dealership where Kona Ice is now in 18. I remember one day I was trying to figure out where our customers would come from, and I took this giant map on this wall, and I literally went through, we were doing 700 units a year, and I went through every one, Erlanger, Florence, Eastgate, because I wanted to see where they were. And I coincidentally found a traffic pattern that I was like, oh, that makes sense that we're getting all this business because I didn't know why we had so many Indiana customers. Well, it turns out we were an easier drive than going to Route 4. And so we were getting a lot of from Lawrenceburg. And so when I look at those things, especially when you talk about BNI, to me, BNI is grassroots marketing. And one thing I find a lot with restaurants is they don't do enough in their community, don't get involved enough. I remember when Flip Daddies, who used to be out there in Union, they had a new CEO come in. They had 3 or 4 locations at the time. This is like 2019, I think. And he's like, hey, I heard you've got high recommendations from people in the restaurant marketing world. What do you see as one of our issues? And I said, well, I don't know your company that well. I said, but I live in Union. I live 2 miles from your store. My kids go to Ryle and Gray, and there's another 3,000 kids that do, I would imagine, in that little complex. I've never seen Flip Daddies one time on this campus. Not at a football game, not at soccer, not at band. I've never seen you anywhere. And I'm like, so to me, one of the reasons people might not be embracing your restaurant, why they're embracing Barleycorns, is because guess who's involved in all these sports? The Barleycorns, Poseidon's Pizza nowadays, they're all sponsoring. What have you seen with Mella and what you've done, because you're active in the community? What have you seen from some of the things in the marketing world that have helped you get in front of people versus a radio commercial or a TV commercial?
Kevin Eberly from Local Trend has helped a lot. He has taken our customer list before on several occasions, and each time he's done it over the years, Northern Kentucky is absolutely our backyard. Yep. We go well beyond the 275 loop, north and south, virtually every week. But our bread and butter is Northern Kentucky, my backyard, where I grew up, where you grew up. What are we doing, though, on a regular basis? Again, I think because of the number of transactions we have, it's hard to shouldn't say it's hard. We haven't mined it probably the way we can, but we're trying to always have our name on Facebook.
Yep.
We spend a little bit of money on Google. There are a number of people who want to use the same company over and over again. Yeah. But there's a lot of people who every season will just go type in carpet cleaning near me, best window cleaners, and we hope they find us. We have made a big push to get more and more reviews, because unless it's one of the big companies in town, all the little guys I think that I compete more often against, they don't have any reviews. I'm giving away a little secret there.
Yeah. Do you respond to your reviews?
I actually respond to every single review,
which I love. You know what? I love that for this reason: that if you and I are walking down the hallway and I go, "Hey, BJ, I love your new jacket," you just keep walking.
Sure.
I'm gonna be like, jackass? Like, what was that all about? And that's what a lot of people reply to the negative reviews online.
Yeah.
But they ignore the positive ones.
I actually do the responses, whether it's Angie's List, which Angie's List does a terrible job of letting me know that there are reviews, but Google's pretty good. And if you go to Mella Services on Google, every single one of the currently 314 reviews I've responded to.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, when you buy something, if you're searching online, so a couple years ago I needed some chimney work, pretty blue-collar work, right? I had talked to a couple of different chimney contractors, and then after not being satisfied with the conversations I had, I said, okay, I hate doing this not by knowing somebody, but I'm just going to type in. So I went to Google and did it. The company, I saw two companies. The one had 676 reviews, and they were rated 4.5.
Pretty solid.
676 chimney reviews.
That's a lot of chimney
4.5. I basically hired them based on that, because they couldn't have gotten away with bad service after over all those jobs. Couldn't have.
So I'll tell you one that this goes back to my B&I days. This one cracked me up the most. Talk about marketing that kind of gets that attention. So did you ever know Scott Ledyard from Nerds On? I don't know if he's still around or not, but it was Nerds On Site was his name. So he was in our B&I chapter, and this goes back a long time ago. And he had given Jerry Aerosmith a testimonial in B&I, and he said, I want to thank Jerry because his idea revolutionized my business the last year. And he also thanked another guy, a Google guy. And we're like, why? And he's like, Post-it notes. And we're like, who gives a shit? What's the big deal Post-it notes? He goes, well, we kept having this problem where we would do great service, IT, help people fix all their stuff, and then we would look and they never call us back. 6 months later. And so we would go in and they'd have somebody else. And we'd ask, well, why? Well, it was because a new secretary came in or a new office admin or somebody new. And Jerry had the idea of give out Post-it notes. Because if you look at every computer screen when you walk into these places, Papa John's number written on there, the accountant's number, whatever's on there. There's all these Post-it notes. And Scott and Jerry came up with the idea that he took a Post-it note, got a tracking number from Google, and just started going everywhere and stacks. I'm not talking one or two. I'm talking 30. Because he came to B&I, we all left like we thought we robbed like Office Depot or something. And he said within a year, he was talking about, he's like, in a year, this like was like doubled our business or something.
You got to show up and provide service, right?
Yeah.
Just like you said for the restaurant. You got to have good food. You got to have an atmosphere. But there are simple ideas out there that can just flip the switch on things.
And he said that's what it was. He said people would, the admin who was there left. The new admin comes in, looks on the computer screen, and there's 40 Post-its with all these things. And the comment, all of them, nerds on site, nerds on site. And he said that really flipped the switch. He said because it wasn't that we weren't doing great work. It was that the people we were working with left and that we were forgot. And that's why one of the things I tell a lot of our clients, I get people call me all the time. I had a friend of mine yesterday who referred a friend to his, and I don't take consultation. I don't take money when we don't work with restaurants. I just give advice. And somebody asked a question. I said, well, there's a couple things you ought to do. I said, number one, you should be running ads for your name on Google. Like, well, what should I run for this? I'm like, well, because people are going to look you up. And if you don't have a big enough footprint, like if you go to Google right now and look up Matt Plapp, like I've got so much out there. I don't buy ads because we've got so much organic. I mean, we put out a couple hundred videos a week and a lot of content. But a lot of small businesses don't put out that volume of content. And so Google's looking for results. Well, now I think it's 4 spots, maybe even 5 spots now on Google for ads. So if you're Mella, I don't know if you're doing it, if you're Mella Services, Mella Window, Mella Carpet, you should be buying ads with your name because when somebody types in Mella, I can promise you your competitor is buying your name or buying something similar that's going to pull it up. But that was one thing I remember telling a friend of mine a while back that he said helped his business. He's like, I was buying everything in the world except for my own brand on different search stuff. And I said, also target your current customers. I have a friend of mine, Billy Jean Shaw out in California, who's got a big digital marketing company, trains people, trains small businesses. I'll never forget because one of these guys said, hey, man, you keep retargeting with me with your Facebook and Instagram ads. I'm already a customer. You can stop. You're wasting your money. He's like, no, because it's reinforcing your purchasing, and it's keeping me top of mind for referrals. And I don't want to assume that you're going to be a customer in a month or two. I want to keep on you.
Our customers will call in to our office and ask us for referrals to other businesses because we've told them over the years, do you need a plumber? Do you need an HVAC? Now, of course, they're not asking us for lawyers and accountants because we're doing blue-collar work for them. But again, that same concept. We want them to think of us. I can't go do plumbing for you, but if you'll think of me to call and ask for a plumber, you'll think of me when you're ready to get the windows cleaned or the carpet cleaned or whatever.
That's gold because now you're a resource.
Yeah. I love to do that when I was in the restaurant business behind the steam table. My friends would, hey, you got a guy? Anybody come in the restaurant who does this? And I usually had somebody. But when I came to B&I, it was like a gold mine. Being able to tell customers that we knew all those different trades. So it was good. So
what's next for Mella? I didn't know you did painting. I know you do carpet cleaning because you've done our stuff. You clean windows. You do flooring sales. And I think the flooring sales came from cleaning carpets, right?
Yeah. So, I started window cleaning because it was cheap to start. Couldn't afford a carpet cleaning truck or anything like that. But our window cleaning customers, I guess that transaction of going in and out of the house, kind of same season cleaning, they started asking us, do you know a carpet cleaner? Do you know a carpet cleaner? I subcontracted to a carpet cleaner for a season. Told him, hey, I'm eventually probably going to buy a truck. So we had all that worked out. So I did. I eventually bought a truck and we started carpet cleaning. Very quickly, customers for carpet cleaning asked us to restretch the carpet. The dog tore a hole in it. Can you patch it? We're going to clean all the carpet in the basement, but we're tearing out this room. Who should we buy our carpet from? That led to, I had a relationship with Gary Job at Big Bob's. And I went to talk to him and he said, I've got a crew for you to do those repairs. Well, we started doing repairs using one of his crews. That was going well. And of course, people were asking us, well, where should I buy a new carpet? Where should I buy a new carpet? And of course, I was referring business to Gary. But after probably about 9 months, I said, Gary, I got to talk to you again. He said, I knew this was coming.
Yeah,
He said, you want to get in the business, don't you? And I said, yeah, I do. So, stuck my toe in the water because I did not want to under-deliver. And one by one, started doing some jobs. Eventually, that led to Erin, who you know on our team. Erin sells for us full-time. She's great with color. She's pretty good with design as well, and she helps people stage their homes. She helps all that. And so when they're asking her about the color of the carpet, they inevitably bring up paint. And same thing started again. We started interior painting. One of our guys on staff used to paint and used to run a crew. So he was like, yeah, I can move into painting. Again, didn't want to under-deliver, over-promise and under-deliver. So we were very careful to kind of get started. But, yeah.
Well, that's like back in the day of my radio days, Ray St. Clair was a client, became a good friend of mine. And early on, it was just roofing.
Sure.
But then he's like, well, we saw this need. We had to do gutters because half the time we did a roof that needed gutters.
Customers don't see it any different.
Yeah.
That should be a part of roofing.
And then it became gutter guards. I think they had something called leaf guard.
Yeah.
And then it went to leaf helmet. And then he said, then it went to like people like, hey, well, you can't also do windy, right? And then siding. He said, next thing I know, we were Ray St. Clair roofing, but there was this opportunity. Now, the one thing I will say is you got to, like you said, you dipped your toe in the water.
Yeah.
Like you can't go all in. Like we have a catering program that we do with restaurants, which is fire. We have 5 clients on it now instead of 400 because I said, hey, let's dominate it first. And then let's roll it out to another 300 people that already spend money with us that need it. Because the toughest thing you could do is all of a sudden go, hey, we got this. And then it sucks. And now it's a negative on your entire brand.
Yeah, I have always erred on the side of caution, probably too much at times, but I could not live with myself to know that we put it out there and didn't deliver. We make mistakes all the time, but I got to be able to deliver.
What's something on the horizon? What's something in your mind? Am I going to be able to build a Mella home in 10 years?
I don't think so. None of the services we've added have been just because we wanted to. Yeah. Everything has, we've kind of been led to by our customer. Are we getting asked to do a little bit more towards remodeling? Yeah, but I don't think we're going to become, a full general contractor or a remodeler per se.
I would think pressure washing sidewalks. I don't know if there's a business in that or not.
We do.
Oh, you do that?
Well, see, when we're cleaning the side of a house, we get asked to pressure wash. It's not something we're pursuing full time, but we will pressure wash and clean houses every week. We're cleaning the siding on houses all week this week.
Yeah.
So I mean, we do a lot of it. The window cleaning crews. Each service kind of has some side services that we get asked to do. The carpet cleaners get asked to do upholstery. They get asked to strip and wax VCT floors like you see in a school or in a doctor's office. Area rugs. We'll do a $10,000 silk area rug. We'll take it back to our shop and clean it. People don't necessarily always think about that, but we will do that. Flooring gets asked for all kinds of stuff because the customer sees a guy there doing something kind of handy, and they ask for absurd things sometimes.
What I love about it is the ability to tackle new things, do it the right way, and keep building it. Because I literally remember sitting in Brennan's office going, that dude looks like BJ. Well, and it was you.
Yeah, within another year or so, Dan Shields from Arlington House. He visited our BNI, I think with Brian. They were both in the meeting, and we didn't know each other at the time, and he leaned over to me and said, you look like somebody I know. Well, I didn't think we knew each other. He said, you look like somebody I know. And I was like, I kind of felt like I knew where he was going. I said, who? He's like, guy in a restaurant in Crescent Springs. Well, that was the store I grew up in. Yeah. And I said, that's me. Gold Star by any chance? He's like, yeah, guy in Crescent Springs. I said, that's me. That was the first time I had been kind of, he was associating me with Mella.
Yeah.
but just thought I looked like a guy from
Yeah.
the restaurant business. And that was, I'll never forget that one, because that was one of the first times I was identified outside of, yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was.
Well, I appreciate your time today.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to get on.
I love it. That's all we got for this episode of MPTV. If you're a business and there's opportunity, don't just jump at it. Investigate it, do it right, and always take care of your customers so you can build an amazing brand like BJ has done with Mella Services in Northern Kentucky. We'll see you next episode.
Thank you.